You want to make sure that it's super seamless, and the client will also feel that this is a super seamless experience for them, right? In this case, I opened a via e-appointment and then went down to his house to close physically. But right now, I can even do that on my iPad. Okay, e-appointments are definitely efficient and productive. So for this, client was really appreciative to say, okay, thank you for explaining the policy so clearly. And it's really great to receive this kind of feedback, right? But you know what's the bonus? The bonus is that I had a really, really productive day. I had dinner with my family right after the e-appointment. So no commuting time. I just turned off my computer and then like went to the dining room to have dinner with my family. So it's really efficient and productive. I also take screenshots to create social proof. But of course, please ask your clients if they are okay with that. So at the end of a great appointment, I'll ask my clients if we can take a screenshot and then I'll post it up on Instagram, right? And if they're okay with that, I'll share it on Instagram, and this really creates social proof. And other clients that know this particular client then had full fear of missing out, and they're like, wow, Joyce is doing this e-appointment. Then they started texting me, Joyce, can I get on an e-appointment with you to check my CI coverage, right? And last but not least, I want to share with you guys this. So previously, a lot of people are telling me that, I don't know, I don't want to get on Zoom calls because they're not personal. I feel like I cannot build rapport with my clients. I feel like I cannot interact with their family members. I like to be physically there in the house, or I feel that, it's rather limited in functions. So this time I asked my clients if we could debunk the myths of e-appointments, and we took a photo, and they really readily agreed, right? Because we had such a fun time. I interacted with the entire family. My client and her brother, who just like hopped in and out of the call, were really engaged in the entire appointment. And at the end of it, I even managed to interact with their dog, and we took a really, really nice like family photo of that. So I just want to share with you guys that creating an e-appointment experience can be a really awesome and fun one. And I want you guys to go out there and to try it with the scripts that I've given you earlier on. Okay, so to sum it all up, you should definitely get onto e-appointments. Great productivity boost, great resilient positioning, and you can utilize office hours. And these are the 5 scripts to help you get started, or the 5 conversation starters to help you get started on asking for e-appointments, on securing your e-appointments. And this is my e-appointment structure. You can kind of like tweak it to your own. This is what works for me, and just experiment with it and see what works for you. And I want you guys to go back with the 3 key takeaways. Get rid of that mental barrier. Go and try it. It's only a tool. Go and master it and help to create a fantastic user experience for your clients. All right. So with that, I end my presentation, and I think like Ben and I can take some questions at this point. So now is the best time to take action. Okay, don't wait to do something different. Now is really the best time to do so. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Joyce. And to those of you who are still learning with us, I hope you can see one thing for sure is that Joyce brings out a very, very different energy from Candice, if you realize, right? So Candice is about social media branding. She's bubbly. She brings off a great personality and journey, right? But when it comes to Zoom calls, it's a lot of processes, preparation, but that doesn't mean that Joyce has diluted who she is, right? And I just want to, once again, acknowledge you in front of thousands of people who are tuning in live with us, that you've done so much of a homework. Pru cares for you, right? And it's so apt. Joyce even told me there was one night she worked for 3 hours, late till about 2-3 a.m. just to put this deck together, right? She doesn't have to do this, guys. But she do this because, an agent could say, why do I want to share my best knowledge and gifts, right? Why do I want to benefit the consultant? Because later he or she does better than me, right? But she does it because she cares enough for everyone. So I want you to take this into consideration. We're going to take about Q&A for about 7 minutes. This is when you can throw in your questions at the Q&A tab. And we'll take a question, maybe 2 questions each. If we have anything to add, we will add on and do so, right? So I think I saw one question that I would love, which is from a gentleman, very interesting name called Christmas Tan. And he asks, and I assume it's a he, what if we do have any good topics to do education, to education seminars, what can we do to enhance the credibility for our friends, targeted people join our webinars? I think, again, like I mentioned, you can either in-source or outsource, right? So a lot of us, we neglect, right? So sometimes it doesn't have to be even your ready friends, right? For me, I use a lot of LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn as a professional social media, I would say, hey, during this period, it's all down to your pitch. So you can even approach strangers whom you think are credible, are smart, are knowledgeable to give expertise on whether critical illnesses, health, business, finance, depending on your target audience. And it's all telling them to say, hey, the proceeds from this seminar is not to help us. We're going to donate the proceeds, right? So you can even gamify the entire process, meaning to say, anyway, consultants are not making money from education business, right? These are like small money, right? The wealth is in the back end, right? So the key thing here is to seed them, create relationships, and then use the webinars as a way to nurture client potential. Anything to add, Joyce?
No, I'd like to answer the next question. So somebody asked, "Hi Joyce, how do you get appointments? Do you call them or WhatsApp?" And this is where I want to reiterate the point that it's exactly the same as how you would communicate to your client for a physical appointment. So the prospecting part should not be very much different. If you used to WhatsApp your clients, then go ahead. So if you used to call your clients, then go ahead and do so. Right. For myself, I largely prospect through WhatsApp. So what I do is that I send like really nice images that Prudential Singapore has like prepared for us to blast out to my clients. And if they are interested in that particular image or in that particular topic, then I get them onto a Zoom appointment. So that's how I do it.
Right, so excellent. Yep, so I'm looking at all the questions. Today, Joyce has so much more love than I do, right? So I'm feeling a bit of jealousy as well. Okay, I find one already. From Eric Tamrin, I believe is from Indonesia. Hi Ben, how do we do personal branding when we do not have any personal achievement? Right? So I think that I probably can sum up a bit. I think we all start from zero, right? So no one starts out as an MDRT agent, right? Maybe for Joyce, she went from zero to MDRT in 1 year, right? But for the rest of us, maybe, we have our journey. And the key thing here is if you do have any achievement, why don't you show you're achieving, right? Why don't you show your striving, right? Your work, right? So sometimes our clients buy us not because we are the top of the game. Sometimes, in the contrary, our clients buy us because they see in us similar values, qualities, and traits that they also see in themselves and they value. So, for example, if you're a hardworking agent, show that, right? If you're a very meticulous agent, show that. If you are very professional, you're always reading, learning, show that. So, all I'm saying that personal branding should be additional effort from a intentional perspective. It should be additional in the sense you're just documenting who you are, right? If you take a look at Joyce's Instagram, at 1, 2 a.m., she's posting, all about her hard work, what she's done, how she's lived her day. The same thing for me, right? Am I really top of my game yet? Maybe, I don't know, but I still have a lot more to go, right? So you do not need to be super accomplished to achieve the impacts and effects of branding. Joyce, anything to add?
Yeah, and I completely agree with Ben. I really think that what your clients want to see is like the genuine you, the real you. So just document your day, post little things, and I post little things like how I spend time with my mom, because these are things that people can relate to, and you want them to know you as a person, not just as a financial consultant or financial advisor. You want them to know you as a person, and that is the greatest brand that you can create. That is you.
All right. So Joyce, over to you. Next question. If anything catches your eye, you have a lot more
So
choices than I do.
there's one here by Joey. She asked, Joyce, what do you suggest for a new agent? And I know that times can be really challenging for a new agent, especially if you're just starting out, or you don't have that warm base yet, you don't have the existing clients to revisit. So what I would suggest for you is to go onto your Facebook or your Instagram, and then source out a list of people that you really really want to work with this time, and then let them know. So for example, I would say, Joey, we have been friends previously, and our paths have crossed. I haven't really touched base with you since then, but you come across as somebody that I really really want to work with. I've just gotten started with my in the financial consulting industry, and if you don't mind, could we hop onto a Zoom call so that I can do a financial review for you, because you're really somebody that I would like to work with. So that is how I would approach it from a perspective of a new agent. And once again, I want to share that it's really pretty much similar to how I approached my business when I first started out for physical appointments. It's the exact same script. I just go to my friends or even people who I have not touched base with in a very really really long time, be really like forthcoming with that, and tell them that you're somebody that I really want to work with. Could you give me that opportunity to do a financial review with you? And I'm really really sure that you'll gain a lot out of this Zoom appointment as well.
So I just want to touch briefly, all our modules are designed in such a way that it's progressively loaded. We realize we only talk about Zoom webinars on session number 3 and webinars on session number 3. But the key thing here is, if you apply what you learned last week, in terms of like, for example, if you want to be seen as a choice, you need to constantly put up messages that you have been a choice, right? So social proof, what Joyce has mentioned is exactly what's that. Joyce, you have more questions. So I'd like you to take the last question before I do a wrap up.
Okay, sure. Let's see. I'm scrolling through your questions. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
There's so many questions.
There are many questions about even like how do you be a speaker when you're not good at speaking? Practice, do more
Okay,
work.
so there's one question I scrolled too quickly, but it's basically that asking me, if I go for cold prospects as well, or do I just go for existing clients, right? So I think like this, it is exactly like same thing is exactly like how I did my physical the physical appointments. I actually go for existing clients, but I gain new clients through referrals. So remember the script, 5 points, conversation starters. I actually ask them for their loved ones. So what I do, the exact script or the exact thing that I say is that like during this period, I know that it can be really really confusing, but also people want to make sure that they are covered right now. So I want to check with you if you have any family or friends that you really care about who may not be really clear with what they have covered. And what I want to do is to hop onto a Zoom call with them. Whether or not they get anything from me is really secondary because I'm really concerned that they have whether they have the right coverage or not. And with that, I've actually gotten quite a lot of referrals. In fact, I think like last month I've gotten about like I think more than 15 referrals. And this is really the way for me to move my business forward, because I really want to be able to show as much concern and spread as much positivity to my clients, and in return they will definitely feel that like sincerity and will definitely refer you to people that they really care about. So this is the way that I do my business. So I go for existing clients, I go for my warm prospects, but very importantly, I've started to ask for referrals as well. Thanks to my mentor who asked me, who really got me into that mindset of asking for referrals. And with that, I want to share with you guys that asking for referrals is really showing concern, because you're showing concern for the family and friends of your clients, because you want in this business your job is to take good care of your clients, right? But you also want to make sure that you take good care of their loved ones as well. So go ahead, ask for those referrals, be it in a physical appointment or an e-appointment. It's exactly the same.
Okay, so I'm just going to hop on and do the second last thing. If there's anything I'd like to share, one final message and a few informational message. One, I'm not too sure whether you can see my screen. Okay, I'm going to turn off my screen share first so that at least you can see this, right? There's this important message that I thought was inspired and I was inspired by, and this is message, right? It's called Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem, right? You can take a photo, make sure that you keep it for yourself, right? Carpe Diem was a message that was left to me by my primary school teacher before I left my primary 6 school. So at the back of our class photo, he wrote this Latin phrase, Carpe Diem, which stands for seize the day. And I want to say that, today Joyce has dedicated so much time, not just for this seminar, preparation, shooting a video to put in our Facebook group, and even like giving me the resources. So we're going to repackage it to serve you, to help you. There's nothing that's going to help you if you do not seize the day, hold the day by its horns and do the best that you can. So to summarize, I have my final deck of slides, and I just want to go through last few administrative instructions. We have a Facebook group, and this is my way for continuing education and extending. Top of mind, I don't want to hold Joyce to it, but if Joyce is open, we do have a lot more questions. If possible, maybe you can hop on a Facebook Live, and then Joyce will even go and understand and study the questions, and we can bring that up. If you like that, please put that in the chat box and say yes, so that we know that the response is there. And of course, the premise is that you have to be in a Facebook group to join us on this live, right? The second thing is that we are always doing this. We package our weekly content in a consumable 3 to 4 page PDF, right? So if you like that, go into the group. Otherwise, Prudential will also be sending you. Last but not least, Joyce has also sort of spent time to record video, and shortly after, Matt will be coming in to do a formal wrap up. I want to say that Joyce really spent a lot of effort to make sure that we are able to sort of be dedicated to our work, to bring our work online, to be so wholehearted in serving our clients. So Matt, if you're standing by, your voice, your presence is much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And thank you, Joyce. It's good to see you. Joyce, we've had the chance to work together before in Singapore, particularly around design thinking. Could you just say a few words about how you've used design thinking to better advise your customers?
Yeah, and I think like maybe I'll just share a brief background on design thinking. So design thinking is basically, putting your clients at the center of the entire experience. So you look at the experience from a client's perspective and make sure that it's a really, really nice and interactive session for them as well. In design thinking, we have a couple of tools that we learned, and I have actually tried a couple of them with my clients. So in design thinking, we have this thing called a buy a feature. Okay, buy a feature is basically giving your client, for example, like Monopoly money, and then asking them to place these resources, and their Monopoly money could be exactly their income for that month, right? And then to ask them to place these resources on what they would prioritize in terms of protection. So what is it? Protection against death, disability, critical illness, early critical illness, or what, right? And this then helps me figure out their resources and their priorities with this buy a feature kind of like design thinking tool. I've also tried using bullseye diagramming, and that is where I kind of like paint out what are the protection pillars for our clients, just similar to what I showed you guys in my presentation. And then I get them to prioritize, right? What are the areas in which they want to work on. And this has really helped me in terms of like getting me and my clients on the same page, and then I can then move on and analyze based on their priorities.
That's so exciting to hear. Yeah. How cool. And you this is something that you had been working on in the Singapore police force. But then at Prudential Singapore, we brought design thinking to some of our agents and agency leaders. And now you've taken that and applied it in service of your customers. It's so great to hear it. And what Joyce has just described is some of the programming that we will very soon be bringing to the rest of the region. So congratulations, Joyce, on doing that. I think you're at the cutting edge of advising clients in a much more human-centered way.
Thank you.
Ben, thank you too for today's session, everything you've done. We'll see you again next week. Yeah. And
I'm just going to quickly hop on to say, like, I hope for those of you who are tuning in, again, we bring the very, very best in each and every vertical, right? So for example, in my knowledge, I brought on Candice because she's so heart-centered, so sincere. And when I think of Zoom appointments, top of mind is Joyce, right? So again, there's two layers of learning. One is that, you are benefiting so much, right? Never in such times could we have thousands of people tuning in to learn something about like technology, right? And number two, what is your brand, right? Are you even known in your industry, your agency, or your business? When you're doing something so good and so darn good, you're so good that you cannot be ignored, then that becomes your brand, right? The last thing I want to add, although I said just two things, last thing, is that next week we're going to do a wrap up, and I've invited the #1 consultant in the whole of the Singapore agency workforce. She will be sharing with us how do we get our customers to still invest with us? How do we persuade them and convince them, even in times, and more importantly, bad and challenging times like this, for the need of protection and also on investment. So this week was a slight move in terms of timing, Friday to a Thursday. Next week, we will revert back to Friday. And I want you to stay tuned. Really send me the questions if you have. Let me know what you want to know from the #1 consultant, whole of Singapore. I'm going to have a prep call with her, so more questions will always be better. Over to you, Matt, for your necessary closing.
Great. Thanks, Ben. And that's good to hear too. So next week is around getting our clients to continue to invest with us. We are starting to work on the scheduling for the following week and the week after. Some of the things we're looking at is getting a speaker from East Spring to give us a market outlook, and potentially doing a live demonstration for all of you on how you could use Zoom to have these calls that we're talking about here. So that's what's in store. Closing for today, just a few words. One is relative to Zoom. We're aware of what's in the news and what's going on with Zoom. I would say that here's my take on it. Zoom is a listed company, publicly traded company. They're facing a lot of scrutiny these days, and they have every incentive to fix the concerns that are being raised. And in fact, they have released enhancements in the last few days to address many of the big concerns. At Prudential, we are evaluating Zoom as a tool to do the kinds of things that we've discussed here on this webinar and last week as well. Stay tuned for more on that front. One piece of advice for now is to take a look at your Zoom settings and make sure that your security and privacy features are the way you want to bring yourself and whoever it is that you're communicating with Zoom some degree of comfort. So that's one tip that I can offer. And as always, in the last 2 weeks, I would say this. It's a holiday weekend for many of you. Go, be safe, take care of your families, take care of your customers. Let's all be guided by our better angels during these extraordinary times, and let's come through it stronger together. Yeah. Ben, thank you. Joyce, thank you. And we'll see you all next week.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Carpe
guys.
diem. Recall.